This is KGW News at Sunrise.
It was a harrowing situation a year ago during the first surge of the pandemic, and now it's returned. Oregon's intensive care units are once again overflowing with COVID patients, forcing hospital resources and workers to the brink. We go to the front lines around the state where people are fighting for their lives.
And Washington's governor hands down new mask and vaccine mandates, hoping to stop the spread of the Delta variant.
A lot of people are very upset about this whole mandate on the shots, and I'm afraid what it's going to do to our community.
Ahead, mixed reaction to the new rules, and you can see the protest after the announcement in Vancouver.
And after the CDC released a plan for an 8-month booster shot, local health officials want you to know your first 2 doses are still effective and they still protect you from getting seriously ill, ending up in the hospital, or even dying from COVID.
Good morning. Welcome to Sunrise. I know it is a heavy morning on this Thursday, but hey, at least, the weather is cooperating. It is the most perfect temperature outside.
Can I say the weather's the best part of this show?
It is. It may be.
Let's get you to your day planner. A lot like yesterday, we're just now starting to see a marine push start to come in along the Columbia River and spilling into Portland. A lot of you are still looking at clear skies. We're 60 at the airport. So some morning cloudiness, otherwise mostly sunny later today, and we'll get up to 80 for a high temperature.
It sounds perfect. All right, Rod, thank you. Topping your news at 5 o'clock, 3 big vaccine mandates have been announced, so let's break them down for you. Washington Governor Jay Inslee now requiring all school employees to get vaccinated. That is everyone from teachers and bus drivers to custodians. That includes kindergarten through college. They have until October 18th to get their shots. It's no vaccine or no job. There is no testing option. Next, Portland Public Schools issued a vaccine requirement for its 4,000 employees, but they do have medical and religious exemptions. Those who don't get vaccinated will have to be tested once a week. And President Biden is ordering staff at nursing homes that get funding through Medicare or Medicaid to be vaccinated.
We are fortunate, we are blessed to have 2 tools that are effective, that are safe, that are available to essentially almost everyone in our community, and we should use them.
Back in Washington, in addition to the teacher vaccine mandate, Governor Inslee announced a new mask requirement for everyone in the state. Once again, masks will be required in any indoor public space, whether you're vaccinated or not. It's the same thing Oregon started doing last week. On Vancouver's waterfront, the people we talked to were okay with the new mask rule, but a teacher and a school employee say they were conflicted by the new vaccine mandate.
We live in their country of freedom. I know it's about their national health, and the more people will be vaccinated, the better. But still, I would rather prefer people to have a choice.
A lot of people are very upset about this whole mandate on the shots, and I'm afraid what it's going to do to our community, what it's going to do to our teachers, what it's going to do to our kids.
Dawn, who you just heard from, worries teachers might leave their jobs over this, putting another school year in jeopardy. We also saw a protest pop up last night in Vancouver. Some people held signs criticizing the vaccine mandate. Other signs were against masks. This was organized by parents who don't think students should have to wear masks in school. That's something both Washington and Oregon are requiring. Now, in the meantime, the CDC has announced a plan to give booster shots to anyone who got the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines. Experts recommend the booster 8 months after you got the first 2 doses.
And we know you may have questions about it, so Tim Gordon spoke with some local health experts to get answers.
Good morning. This plan is expected to get final approval soon. And when it does, it's going to open these booster shots up to a lot of us. Now, we know some of you may have questions about that, so we got you some answers.
First, a 3rd dose for those with vulnerable immune systems, and now a booster plan for the rest of us.
The thought is if you give us a booster dose, that really augments your immune system so that you have that enhanced protection.
Infectious disease physician Katie Scharf says if we got our initial doses, we are in great shape when it comes to the risk of severe COVID illness, hospitalization, and death. But data shows at 8 months, protection starts to wane. So say you got your second dose on August 18th, 8 months later, April 18th, 2022, it would be time to get a booster of Pfizer or Moderna. Experts recommend you get the same brand you got initially, but if you can only get a booster dose with the other, you can. Now, a lot of you have asked, what about the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine? So far, there is no booster recommended, but that could come if more data shows it makes sense. And what about getting the flu shot? Aileen wrote me on Twitter saying, we are supposed to have a 2-week space between other vaccines, so should we plan flu shots accordingly? Dr. Stephen Krager with Clark County Public Health says that guidance has been dropped.
So if it's going to be convenient for you to get, your booster COVID-19 shot and your flu shot at the same time, that might work really well for you. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So when it comes time, be ready. Healthcare workers were some of the first to be vaccinated early on, so they would be among the first up for booster shots in just a few weeks. Right now, many are working overtime in overburdened hospitals.
So I think it's just more of a feeling of exhaustion, just on a day-to-day basis. But absolutely, I know I've had several of my colleagues ask about their booster doses, and they are eager to get them when they become available.
Finally, both doctors we spoke with say as important as booster shots are, the unvaccinated getting their first shots is still the key.
Critically, from a public health standpoint, protecting our hospital capacity, getting unvaccinated people is more important right now.
And we are never going to get out of this until that group of individuals goes and gets their vaccine.
Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Doctors say one of the biggest differences in the pandemic now compared to a year ago is the patients. For the most part, they are significantly younger and unvaccinated. That's the case at the ICU at Harborview Medical Center in Seattle and many others.
Now we're seeing almost only younger people. We're seeing people from their 30s to their 50s. More than 90% of the patients, in fact, I think almost all the patients in our hospital now are unvaccinated patients. People who should otherwise be in the prime of their lives, who don't really have medical problems, are coming in with COVID and very severe forms of it.
Medical workers also say having to treat another surge of COVID patients is taking a mental toll on them in a pandemic battle that stretched for a year and a half.
And now to the first of our special reports on the COVID crisis here in Oregon. Our stories aren't about wearing masks, state policy, or getting vaccinated, although those are important parts of any story about COVID. This time, we're in the ICU of area hospitals where people are fighting for their lives. Pat Doris starts our reporting from Bend.
St. Charles here in Bend is a hospital in crisis. It has a staffing shortage and it has a big number of COVID patients that have come from all over the area, a total of 61 on Tuesday. I was able to spend a lot of Tuesday in the ICU where there were 9 COVID patients, 3 fighting for their lives, and watch doctors and nurses do everything they could to try to save the patients. At one point they called a patient's husband to ask him if he wanted to come onto the ward because they thought his wife would likely die. He was not able to because he is also COVID positive. I also was able to spend some time in the ER and talk to doctors and nurses there, many of whom have been fighting for 18 months to save people's lives and to keep them healthy, and they are very burned out. Here's what one had to say.
I'm angry at everything. I'm angry at patients who chose not to get vaccinated. I'm angry at the health system for not being able to handle it, even if it's not their fault. I'm angry at myself for not having done more early in the pandemic.
And maybe angry at yourself for being angry?
Yes, very much so. Yeah, it's hard.
And as bad as things are here now, they worry it's just going to get worse. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, they expect a surge of even more COVID patients because in the surrounding areas, the vaccination levels are not that high, and they worry about where they will put all the patients. I'm Pat Doris, reporting from Bend.
Our series is called Overwhelmed, Inside Oregon's ICUs. You can watch our first full reports today at 4 and 6 p.m. Our reporters are embedded in area hospitals. We'll have stories this week and again next week.
All right, let's get to some more of your morning headlines. The city of Portland passed a new ordinance to stop street racing because it's become a huge problem in the city. It's extremely dangerous and sometimes deadly. In fact, Portland police say 5 people have been killed over the last year at these gatherings. Fines can go as high as $500. But the new measure allows police now to make more arrests and tow any cars involved. President Biden has nominated former Umatilla tribal leader Chuck Sams to lead the National Parks Service. Sams was previously the director for the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation in eastern Oregon. He's the first Native American to be nominated for the position, and if approved by the Senate, he'd also become the first Native American to lead the department. These lamps are an example of what you'll see at the Relit Lighting Festival in Vancouver. It kicks off today. Volunteers with the group Repair Clark County turned old electronics into one-of-a-kind lamps. They'll be placed in storefronts around Vancouver, and they'll be lit for 3 weeks before being auctioned off for a fundraiser. And those are your morning headlines.
Yeah, that's kind of cool there. Hey, save on the electricity bill today, though, because the sun is coming out later. Rod, some really comfortable temperatures.
Yeah, I know. We've had at our home the windows wide open the last handful of nights, and house has stayed pretty, as you mentioned, comfortable. Here are the numbers right now. We have another nice day coming. We do have a solid marine deck up and down the beach, and there could be some patchy drizzle today for you folks. Newport right now is 55. Inland, 53 in Eugene. It's 60, though, out along the Columbia River where clouds are starting to come into Portland right now. 55 out in Pelton. So, like yesterday, we do expect at least some of us to get caught in low marine clouds this morning and then see plenty of sun this afternoon. 9:30 this morning. Drizzle spots possible on the marine deck at the coast. Here are the clouds. Now, this shows clouds more widespread than yesterday, including Salem, so we'll see if that happens. But in the afternoon, it's pretty much only cloudy at the coast. Then comes tomorrow, and then comes Saturday morning. Both days have the ongoing threat of seeing some light scattered showers. Here's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, cloudy skies. I doubt if we see the sun tomorrow. And again, this is traceable stuff to maybe 5/100ths of an inch. Here you see that shower chance continuing Friday evening. And I think we could see a shower here and there all the way through about noon on Saturday. And then the rain chance will gradually disappear. Temperatures today back up to that comfortable zone. 80 in Salem, maybe only upper 70s in McMinnville and Corvallis. Some afternoon west breezes will be noticeable. Battleground 80, Vancouver 80, Longview perhaps getting stuck in the 70s with morning clouds and afternoon sun for you folks. Here comes the 7-day. 80 today, 73 tomorrow, 77 Saturday. Again, tomorrow through at least midday Saturday, the ongoing chance of just a dab of rain here and there. Sunday's dry and 78. I do have 90 next Wednesday, but there are increasing models that say, hold on, we're not going to get hot next week. So for now, just notice that's something we're watching, but maybe it doesn't happen. That's your forecast.
Yeah, those upper 70s and 80 are perfect. All right, Rod, thank you. Still ahead this morning, the Hood to Coast Relay returns next week with vaccines encouraged for all participants. What runners will need to know. Plus, with the Delta variant on the rise, a lot of people wondering whether the symptoms of the virus are different with Delta. Our Verified team talks to the experts after the break.